Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. Bravehearts, Urbanites, Coach Mad Hatters, Vineyard Creatrix, Crimson Velvet VIPs. I got a question. So, for the last few days, I was in dilemma if I was going to speak on the so-called video that's titled No Vote, No Bucking. Even the title is just ridiculous, just sheer ridiculousness. So, this is what happened to me earlier today. Oh, so welcome to my Saturday, October 8th, 2022 at 12:42 p.m. DMV Standard Time. So, I just finished a segment that I am going to be uploading momentarily that is called When We Are Amongst the Gods. And it was mainly speaking about my observations regarding my children as grown adults and where I am and what lenses I have been privileged to craft as a result of seeing them mature in the ways that they are. And shortly after I finished that recording, my youngest son sends me a clip from TikTok. Now, he understands all of my children, but mainly him. He understands that even though I am seeking certain information and content for the patchwork for my life's work, I get a bit overwhelmed out here in these cyber streets. So I am already knee deep in me just scrolling through YouTube. And every now and again, I'll pop up on Facebook. But that's pretty much the bulk of it, in my blog. And that's pretty much the bulk of my time spent when I'm inside of these virtual spaces. It's already something for me to have to maintain my physical realm and then my spiritual realm and my imaginary realm and my scholarship realms. And so and then my authorship realms. And it's just too many realms to be trying to keep up with. Oh, and look at there. And my niece just sent me. Oh my gosh, divine timing is doing its thing. My niece also is one because I let them know you all are already in these spaces. So if you see things that you know that I might be interested in, or you know we've talked about it, or you know that I'm investigating, shoot it to me because I just cannot deal with another social media platform. I'm going to lose my fucking mind up in here, up in here. But lo and behold, to the direction of his inner voice, my son sends me this clip, and what flashes across the screen in conjunction with the entire message that was coming through was the Eureka Stockade. And let's see, 19, nope, not even, the Eureka Stockade 1851. I literally had to pause it. It jumped out on me like I was in a haunted house. And not haunted house in a bad way, but it did. It struck me. It struck me like lightning. And my whole world paused for a few seconds, and I immediately said yes to going down this rabbit hole. If you don't know by now, I love rabbit holes. I have a certain agreement with my non physical entities, and they have me to the point where I have a pretty decent cosmic string. And what drives me to know this to be the truth is because my moon is in Virgo and my ascending is in Virgo. And so Mercury got me double time, needing to understand certain messages from the as above, so below frequency. And so my eye has been on a number of pointers and it has been pointing my views to some of the most peculiar nooks and crannies. Today, this being one of them, and it's been such a miraculous ordeal because of the way that it has divinely timed itself into my research and my development. And so this is what brings this forth to you right now. So, you know how sometimes they'll say, this segment has been brought to you by. So, this segment has been brought to you by the Eureka Stockade and all of the things that have been uh, woven into the narrative regarding this monumentous event. What's also rather striking is something that my dad says to me a lot, and it chimes in at the most pristine moment. I hear it in my mind as if he was saying it to me in real time. And he says the narrative has been constructed according to the victor. And this we know to be truth. There's a preponderance of evidence of how we have been conditioned according to a particular narrative where the more and more we dig, we're finding out that the enemies that they're talking about and the communities that they've been slaughtering or were slaughtering or colonizing were my kinfolks. And so, lo and behold, all of these years, I'm thinking that I am on the side of the folks that my elementary school, middle school, and high schools named after, or the community center that I went to have community with is named after, or the streets that I drive through every day, or the libraries that I enter. And l- I was going to say, lo and behold, well, maybe, lo and behold, never really realizing how such things will play on my subconscious. It will even direct certain behaviors because of me being in the midst of a narrative that celebrates the folks that were on the opposing side of my bloodline. Now, that's not the actual case in this situation, but I'm going to read something to you, which is the beginning of an article on Britannica.com. But let me say this real quick before I even read it. I never want to lose sight that we are in the midst of an era where we seem to be spinning our wheels trying to separate the salt from the sugar. That's what we continue to do. And even though I know that that's damn near impossible, actually it feels so uncanny and so futile and unremarkable. But then the more and more I am analyzing this compound essence of how my kinfolk, dead or alive, have been continuously speaking through non physical means, regardless of the leading agendas put forth. So here's my take. Well, before I do that, let me just read this. And I would like to know, if it sounds familiar at any rate of why certain things are the way that they are and why I feel like that video was so fucking weird. And not weird on the superficial, not in a superficial sensibility quality standpoint, because all messages are not for everybody. I've even said that several times here. With I'm not speaking anything that vibes with you, ta ta for now. So I get it. But I am going to point out a few things that came to me immediately while viewing this fuckery, and the reason why I call it fuckery. So here's the baseline, that they knew exactly who the target market who the targets were for this production. That's first and foremost. Secondly, that those that were responsible for creating, mastering, and executing, distributing, and posting in strategic areas understand what the agenda is. Now, if you zoom out, many will say that it's a tool to increase votership. It's a tool to get the momentum going with regards to encouraging or motivating, inspiring folks to vote. Here's my pushback on that. That time honestly could have been spent with itemizing who's who and what's what. But that's not what took place. And so here we are yet again with another political cycle that is asking folks that they already know are blind to the real to vote or get into these energetic commitments blindly and never taking stock that those that they need to appeal to actually have a sense of direction and navigation and comprehension and context, that if you bring it to me straight, I might surprise you on the way I weigh in on this thing. But it almost feels like another ploy to bamboozle. And on the dating app that it's now being hashed out that it's mainly being played on, works something like the dating app where it's asking folks to get to mingling with folks that you know nothing about, not one thing about. And the illusion that somehow this app is going to match you up with your proper frequency. Now, dating apps have never been my thing just because of how I feel personally about dating. I lead with chemistry. So I can't do the whole blind photos and all of that craziness, but people DMing and all of that. That shit doesn't make no sense to me because I am a fond advocate of frequency and chemistry and the alchemical effects of journey and happenstance and encounters and experiences, compatibility, all of that, astrologically. So, what that what that clip felt like was that yet again you're asking me to indulge or engage in something that I can't see beyond this profile. We don't know these folks. It's bad enough the time and patience it takes to try to get to know somebody one on one and everybody showing up authentically. Now, take the historical value of the political arena and how it is that time after time we have all these pressures to vote, but beforehand, the authentic transparency is never available. And then on the back end, we are now griping yet again about the distractions and who's real and what's what and what's really going to happen. There have been so many politicians that have sat in front of that mic sounding nice, talking about all the things they're going to do, woo, 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 to then get into that space. So, here, Stockholm, the Eureka Stock, why do I want to call it Stock? Wow. The Eureka Stockade Rebellion, December 3rd, 1854, in which gold prospectors in Ballarat, Victoria, Australia, who saw various reforms, notably the abolition of mining licenses, clashed with government forces. It was named for the rebels' hastily constructed fortification in the Eureka gold field. The Eureka Stockade was the most celebrated rebellion in Australian history. The rebellion was the culmination of long standing grievances on the part of the miners or quote unquote diggers over exorbitant prospecting license fees, brutal police procedures for collecting those fees, lack of the vote, and lack of representation in the Legislative Council. While J. L. Charles J. Lathrop, the Lieutenant Governor of Victoria, who had introduced the license fee in 1851, passed the Legislative Council, pressed pressed the Legislative Council to reform on these issues. The diggers underwent increased harassment by the police and responded with greater militancy. The murder of a digger named James Scobie in October 1854 and the acquittal of his alleged killers by a government board of inquiry further inflamed the situation. Demonstrations and clashes with the police followed. On November 11th, the diggers formed the Ballarat, I think I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm not sure, Ballarat Reform League to petition the new Lieutenant Governor Charles Hotham for redress of their grievances. Although Hawthorne's response was promising, the arrival of troops, the arrival of troop reinforcements on November 28th led to further clashes. So when my son sends me the clip and the Eureka Stockade grabbed hell grabbed onto my attention span, I knew something was going on, but not until I went down the rabbit hole did I know that this was my clue and my cue to go ahead and talk about it. So let's talk about it. Let me lead with to each his own, okay? So I am not going to give much credit. No. I'm not going to give much scrutiny to the way that it was made because the production was very well done. It was in the form of a music video. I know Trina because I have been a fan of Trina's for a while. Um, as far as her artistry is concerned, Sir Saucy Santana, I've seen his face, but I've never had a chance to like get into his platform or his message or his artistry. But with that aside, because I am an advocate of artistry. So do it till you're satisfied as far as that's concerned. I'm not even opposed to whomever wants to put out their message with regards to the political arena, economic arena, domestic arena, intellectual arena. However you do it, you get in where you fit in. Here's what my issue is. Is like Michi X say, it's the subliminal messages that get me. It's the underlining message that continues to poke at my intelligence that says that the only black man that was represented in that scenario is hypersexual and the only way he's going to be convinced to vote is if he don't get no pussy. Come on, get the fuck out of here with that. Like I know several men that are celibate right now and not by force because they understand the situation with certain things being hypersexual and how we are all still anchored in this energy that has yet to be reconciled when it comes to melanin and sexuality. No right, no wrong. Like I say, everybody get in where they fit in. Me being and I feel like I have to say this and I'm going to. My 20 years in the salon, I have had friendships and kinships with all sorts of folks that have rendered me a what I like to call an enlightened point of view when it comes to people, places, and things, and how loved ones come in all types of shapes and sizes and fashions. And so, because I believe in love, I refuse to get caught up in the shenanigans that would try to force this "are you for us or against us" type of shit. Because the world is too complex for those simplicities to continue to drive the way we are seeing the world, interacting with the world. So here's the part that I speak up on. There needs to be a production, if you will, that speaks to the intelligence and the fortification and the fortitude and the fortunes and the grassroots of rich soil with regards to black men and black women. And I use the term black for the political, socio-economic context that it's supposed to be in. I ain't talking about skin color. It's never been an issue about skin color. And we know this already. All of us have seen enough color spectrums to know that we are not to be equal to these classifications. It's all about mindset. It's all about identity. It's all about affluence and privy and privilege. That's what these classifications are about. In another segment, I'm not sure if I posted it or not, but I'll look back and see, where I was specifically talking about the estates and how social engineering is in continuance. These categories that will give folks a quick at a glance to where they need to place you. And so, inside of the arena of my kin folks, inside of our collective conversations, blackness is a incredible thing. It's very flexible. It's very elastic. Its elasticity expands many generations and honestly has nothing to do with your flesh and blood. It has everything to do with your concepts and your comprehensions around classifications inside of a social structure, a societal structure. That's what this is all about. So, if I am to believe that this no voting, no vucking is to honestly inspire folks to vote, then I'm wondering where the follow up is going to come, where they actually try to break it down and explain to people what it is they're actually voting for. And then on a totally separate notion, that content or messaging begins to emerge that's actually talking to the intelligent black man. And we're not talking about his pay grade or his ability to generate income or be a good employee. We are talking about, and me and my big sister was just talking about this the other day, where we say that too many years have gone by where we've been depicted in the wrong light, where we ourselves have sat in front of the big screen and say, we don't know no black dude like that. Now, does that mean folk don't have shenanigans? Man, across the cultural denominations, folk got shenanigans. But all of our men are not hypersexual. All of our men are not just focused on getting in the panties. All of our men do not try to look at their women as trophies or objects to curate or bag them up, pile them up, or trying to get everybody pregnant, or that some of that stuff exists, but it does not exist across the board. So I'm wondering, where will the true bits and pieces of the narrative begin to emerge, where it's speaking to folks like my dad and my first husband and my best friend and my barbers. It's like, where's the message to speak to them? Because they show up for their children, they show up for their families. My big brothers, like, they have businesses, they are wholesome and full of manners, they care about people. Me and my big sister was just talking about my sons and her sons, and then the nephews and all of that. Like, they hold the door, they bring in the groceries, they sweep the porch, they take out the trash. They don't let nobody come into the space that might be threatening or disrespectful. Yeah, they'll knuckle your head up. We've even talked about the wonderful energy when it's just been me and my sister in a barbershop full of dudes. We ain't had to pay for nothing. Yeah, food was brought to us. And see, me and my sister, we're the type of women where it's like, you don't have to curtail your conversation because we in the room. All of that weird shit, we ain't with all of that. Carry on in your natural self. It's delightful to hear from you in your trueness, your authenticity. So all black women aren't created equal even, nor are they built the same, honey, because we are the girls from around the way. And you ain't got to do all of that for us. Where are their representations? We're waiting to see the folks that say, we care about your life. We care about the fact that, these licenses that you have to maintain, or these property taxes, or whatever's going on inside of the municipal domain. When are they going to care about you, and how you have to figure things out day to day? And it is not all about, okay, well, because I ain't gonna get no pussy, then I might as well go vote. That's what that said to me. I even have a friend who's a builder, and he has an established business, and he pay his business taxes, he maintain his business permits, he build fabulous houses. And the conversations that we be having, even around him being part of the realm of the small business administration and things that he have to deal with, or his employees have to deal with, where's the message that speaks to them? And lo and behold, when you look at it, it reminds me of the Eureka Stockade, because we are here. We are the diggers. So you come along and you slap on this fee, or you slap on this licensing or this permit, the fees associated with them, and you hike up the property taxes, and you hike up the business taxes, and you hiking up all these things, and IRS is just shaking its ass all over the place, and nobody's talking about these things. But yet and still, you want me to blindly go vote because you say that it's going to do something with policing, or it's going to do something with the mayor dictatorship, or you want to somehow address these infamous outlandish ass parking tickets, or these bogus ass moving violations, or the thing that is going to make the police get a different kind of perspective around who it is they stopping and frisking. None of this stuff is being spoken about. And so I'm wondering, really truly wondering, what that musical was honestly supposed to do. Like, what was it really supposed to do? And then, okay, I still think Trina got some, I think she still got some sparkle. She still got some vibe, okay? But what I will say from conversations with all of the men that I care about, that type of woman shaking her ass trying to manipulate as a relate, I mean, as with regards to her lady parts. And no, I am not trying to pit women against men with regards to the women shenanigans and the men shenanigans. Like I said, we're all in this mixing bowl of fuckery. So, it's a what's my word? Synthesization. I synthesize it. Woohoo! The element to harmonize and synthesize energetically is all mixed up in there. And so everybody is not the same. And so all the fuck boys do not speak for the other boys or the old boys or the new boys or the boys around the block or the homies. Like, don't speak for everybody. I know some men now is like, man, okay, well, if that's what she say, that's what she say. Why the fuck is she trying to, you know, coerce me through sex when we could be really talking about what's going on instead of, you know what, babe, how we voting, what's going on, what have you found out? Like I said, my builder, my friend, he already know that I'm not really in tune to the political. So when he come to visit and sit on the porch, he is explaining certain things to me with regards to this political arena because he know that these are not the arenas I frequent. And so it's always an education when I can get him revved up to talk about what he is viewing and feeling and thinking and pondering around these political shenanigans. And this is stuff that he's naturally into. So wants to his eyes light up and he get to rolling it off for everybody. He is the one that shows up and understand who's on the ballot. He reads about these folks. And so when he comes to visit, it's an ordeal, classes in session, and I am forever grateful. Where is the production that's going to speak to him? So that is my part. My heart to heart with regards to how the Eureka Stockade is being my teacher for the day. I am very, very happy that I have the type of young folks around me that blend in where I am weak and vice versa. Like the harmonization around what's being put on the table from folks' strength and how it's magically just calming and soothing and solving. It's amazing. So, yeah. um, that's it for now. There's another segment that I am in the midst of speaking about, and it will be addressing Biden's uh, aspects around cannabis, the advocacy of cannabis, the releasing our people from the shenanigans of cannabis prohibition. And yeah, so down another rabbit hole we go. Until then, I wish you well.